Hey, I'm Philip. Welcome to the Hobby Shop. I'm here with,
John and Rob.
and today we're going to be talking about the things that creeped us out when we were kids. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, just like, just, you know, when you're a kid, there's always going to be like one thing that creep you
Oh, it's
out.
not just one thing. It's usually a lot of things.
Yeah,
Let alone just the dark alone is fucking scary.
except for Robert here. And
I'm pretty sure you're lying. There's got to be something.
there has to be something. We'll find something.
I have phobias, but I don't really have, something I'm scared of.
Lies. Lies.
Oh,
Phobia, like claustrophobia or,
well,
arachnophobia.
we're not even like really looking for anything. We don't even. It doesn't even have to be like something like scared, like actually scared you. But it'd be like, because it's kind of a weird thing. Like with me, I didn't see a whole lot of things that like really scared me. But I was that kid who was like, ah, that was awesome. I would be like, I would get scared and I would think it was awesome.
Fuck that.
And
I was never
I-
like that. I was like, if I got scared of something, I was fucking scared.
Well, I guess it was always I had that curiosity to the things that scared me, and I've always been interested in like as a kid I was always interested in like monster movies and stuff like that, and basically anything creepy, especially Halloween related. When I was a kid, I looked forward to Halloween every year. Not even for the candy or anything like that. It was like the Halloween specials and stuff like that. But it doesn't really have to be something that scares you. It just has to be something that, like, maybe you got just something creepy that you might have liked. That I don't know how to put it. How would you put it?
I don't think there's anything creepy I've ever really liked or looked back on and been like, oh yeah, that's cool. Now I'm just like, fuck that.
Oh, so you
There's a little division here where it goes from, interesting to being just fucking scary. For you, you find it interesting. To me, I'm just like, nope, fuck
Rob-
that. I don't even,
and Rob doesn't give a shit. Yeah, we're probably not going to get a lot out of him, aren't we?
Most likely not.
Okay, well, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. I guess we just start off with just some things that creeped us out.
keep us out when we were younger or still to this day.
Oh well, younger probably be more. It'd be more things because I can't. Nothing when it comes to like, obviously there's things that freak me out as an adult, but not anything from like movies or anything like that. Usually, real life. But I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of the things that creeped me out when I was a little kid. I don't know if any of you guys watched. Have you ever seen the movie Oliver and the Little People?
No, I
Gulliver and the Little People.
No.
Nope.
I always say Oliver. And I'm trying to combine two different movies. Gulliver and the Little People. You never even read the book or anything?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I can't really remember a whole lot from that movie. I just remember there was like leprechauns and stuff like that. And for the most part, it was a Disney movie. For the most part, it was real kid friendly and all that. But there was two scenes in that movie that freaked me the fuck out when I was little.
A Disney movie.
Yeah. You look at me like that, but Disney movie was fucked up at one point. Seriously, watch Pinocchio again. That is a fucked up movie.
Okay, I guess I'll give it a rewatch and see how fucked up it is.
I mean, okay, I'm just saying as a kids movie. For a kids movie, it's fucked up.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's like just creepy scenes in that movie, but I'll get to that one in a little bit. But yeah, this movie had the Banshee, and I could not watch that movie for the longest time when I was a kid because I knew the Banshee was coming. And there's a scene where, if you don't know what a you know what a Banshee is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a scene building up to the Banshee appearing, and the Banshee shows up kind of throughout the movie, or just hinted at. There's a scene where I don't think there's any music playing, and you just hear this like wail, like in the distance, and you know there's this long scene where the guy goes up to the door, he opens the door, and the banshee's right at the door, and it's just like has this. It's just it freaks you out as a little kid. I mean, you look at it today, the effect's pretty shitty. It's not really that scary if you look back at it. But as a little kid, just the build up in the suspense, just that anticipation, kind of messes with you when you were a little kid. And then there's other movies like Return to Oz, which a lot of people don't like that movie. I think it's a great movie, but Return to Oz, a lot of people were freaked out by the original, by the original Wizard of Oz.
Really?
Yeah, the flying monkeys, the Wicked Witch, and all that. It did freak kids out. That's usually people. That's like the generation before us. But for a lot of kids who grew up in the 80s and 90s, they saw Return to Oz, and that was a whole nother beast. Where there's a slight creepy edge to the Wizard of Oz. I mean, very slight. It's still bright and colorful and all that. Not Return to Oz. Like, I just remember so many scenes like this. I can't even remember what the desert was called, but there's this desert. Anything that touched the sand died or turned into sand.
Huh.
Just, that was freaky. Then you have the fucking wheelers wheeling around. Just, God, they were so freaky looking. They had long arms and long legs. They didn't have hands or feet. It was wheels. It's just, they were kind of freaky for a little kid. Just so much weird shit. And then there's the Headless Woman, where she her whole idea, she captures Dorothy, and her whole idea is to decapitate her and take her head. And she has this whole hallway of heads. And there's a scene where they have to get like a key or something from her. You know, her body's in bed, all the heads are asleep, and she opens a little case, grabs the key, drops the key, wakes up the head in the case, and they all start screaming. They all start howling, and then that body with no head just springs up, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on? You're just like, you're a little kid and you're freaked out.
You'd probably freaked out too if I was on drugs.
What, are you saying I'm a pansy for that?
No. I'm pretty sure most kids would probably be scared of that. Probably. Not now, on this day, I don't know.
Probably not, but, back then, it was a little different time. I remember, and there was stupid shit that creeped me out when I was a kid, like Labyrinth, with David Bowie. I don't know what creeped me out when I was little, but I was like 4 or 5 when I saw that movie the first time. Not really a great movie to show your kids when they're like 5. It's a great movie. It's just, I don't know. You watch it as an adult, you're probably more distracted by what's in David Bowie's pants. It's noticeable. But it is a great movie. It's just kind of freaky for a little kid. I'm trying to think of some other ones these weren't scary movies or anything like that. These were just
freaked you out.
Yeah.
When you were younger.
I'm trying to think of some other ones.
Yeah.
I remember being scared shitless of Unicron when I was like 6 because I saw the Transformers movie. Just Unicron, just this giant ball of death floating around in space, eating planets, and having the voice of freaking Orson Welles, just that booming voice. As a little kid, it kind of creeped me out. I was like, I was scared of Unicron.
Like how old is this? Like,
Huh?
You said you were
your
6.
age? You were 6,
I was
right?
6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Killed that boring.
the Unicron freaked me out. It was, and keep in mind, I saw the movie more and more times when I was a kid, and I thought the movie was amazing. But whatever. I'm trying to remember. I'm kind of blanking right now, so I'll throw it to you if you got anything.
Let's see, I know when I was younger, I don't think I really got freaked out because mainly all the shows I watched were just mainly cartoons. I didn't go into movies. And the only...
So you can count Alien out, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't see that till I was 11. Because Dana was watching it. So our
Yeah.
sister was sitting there. That's the only way I saw horror movies was through her. Because she would sit there and watch them. And I know I'd peek in and I'd see a few. And the ones I saw was Chucky. I know for sure. That...
Yeah,
That was a,
that wasn't even
even
hard.
when I was a kid. Yeah, it was horror, but
Comedy to me.
no, the first one was trying to be a straight up horror movie. Later on, it became comedy with like Chucky 3.
I just found it funny.
Oh, okay. I just didn't think it was scary even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay.
no, that's fine. A lot of kids were freaked out by that movie.
Trying to think what else did I walk in on. It wasn't Scream. Because I remember I walked in on Scary Movie. I didn't care for that. Let's see, what else was she watching? I think it was not Cabin in the Woods. It was some Wrong Turn.
Wrong Turn. I'm trying to remember that one. What was that?
The Killer Hillbillies.
There's a lot of movies with killer hillbillies.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing I can remember from
Best,
was just
best
Killer
one's
Hillbillies.
Chuck and Dale versus Evil, even though that's just a comedy, a
Uh,
satire one.
I'm trying to think.
There's quite a bit of them.
You
I
say
know I
killer,
walked in.
killer rednecks. I'm thinking killer hillbillies. I'm thinking the hills have eyes.
No,
Sure.
the Hills Have Eyes is that doesn't really have
They're not really
too much.
hillbillies.
Yeah,
Uh,
bunch of weird.
just a bunch of weirdos in the desert.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was directed by George Romero, and nowhere near as good as like his Dead series. But when I was a little kid, getting into like horror movies. Okay, this first one's not really a horror movie, but I remember the Terminator giving me nightmares. As when his like skin is blown away, and you just have the skeleton.
What?
What?
Sitting here over judging everyone.
What?
I don't get how that's even scary.
The Terminator with the fucking skeleton robot crawling after you, chasing you, and like, oh my, no, that thing terrified
I'm pretty sure if
me.
I was younger, I'd just be like, turn away from the screen. Not even gonna watch. I mean, fuck, Jurassic Park scared me.
Jurassic Park got me too. The T-Rex. T-Rex gave me nightmares, just like the Terminator did. Although I think when I was older, I thought the T-1000 was scarier because liquid metal and all that. But yeah, the original Terminator freaked me out. Just that image of it, like even without legs, crawling after Sarah Connor. That was like, oh no. But horror movies that freaked me out when I was little, that I was shown when I was little. Night of the Living Dead.
Wait, people showed you, or did you walk in on it?
No, people showed. I was shown that one.
Wow.
Night of the Living Dead, and I could not sleep for months. Okay, for maybe a week, I couldn't sleep
Oh, hey, here's a good idea. Let's show our kid this. It's perfectly fine.
because it's in black and white. What's the worst they can do? That movie. Do not show your 6-year-old Night of the Living Dead. They will not sleep for a week.
I think now it actually probably won't have an effect on this generation.
Because zombies are like everywhere now, so no one is like, whatever.
You see so many little kids into all these shooters and stuff, and it's just like, because when you see the generation skip, it's like, wow, this scared the living shit out of me when I was little, and yet here's these little 6-year-olds, they're just like, whatever. It's everyday common thing. It's just like, what the fuck? I'm like, was I really that much of a pussy?
I don't know. I was with you on Alien though. Watching Alien for the first time really freaked me out. I didn't see Aliens. I didn't see the sequel until high school.
Just Alien.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Maybe I'm just like. I don't know. I didn't like Aliens as much as Alien because I thought it was too actiony.
Yeah.
It was still a good movie. It was just not. It just wasn't as scary as the first
They
one.
took out most of the scare factor in it and put it more action.
Hey, that was who directed that? That was James Cameron. But yeah, I remember seeing the Xenomorph for the first time, and I stopped watching the movie. I ran out of the room. But keep in mind, I was the same kid who was scared by Paul Bearer and The Undertaker.
I don't know what that is. What is
Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
The Undertaker and his manager Paul Bearer. He just look up Paul Bearer, and you probably see what I mean.
Okay.
Scaring 6-year-old me.
Yeah. What I also don't get is when I hear people say Courage the Cowardly Dog was scary. And I watched that when little, and that actually didn't freak me out. I enjoyed the, King Ramsey episode, the Not Perfect episode.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all those.
Fred.
And Fred, yeah. I really enjoyed that, even when I was
So
little.
did I. I mean...
So I never get why people are like, oh my god, it was so freaky when I was little. It's like, no?
Maybe it was, like, how old were we when we were how old were you, I should say?
How old is...
Because I was like 12.
So I must have been, let's see, what's your gap? 4 years? Because you're 25?
I'm 24, but yeah.
24, so what, like 3 years, 3-year gap? So, it's like 9.
Okay, so, I was about to say, well, I was 12, so it wasn't freaking to me. I absolutely loved the show because of its, creep value. And, I loved, like, the comedy and all that. It was one of those things that was just like, it was that great balance of freaky and funny at the same time.
Yeah. So, it's why I never really got freaked out by cartoons.
I think there's some messed up cartoons.
Yeah, there's messed up.
That are cartoons that have messed up moments.
Yeah, but they're never, like, freaky.
They're not, like, horrifying or
Yeah.
anything like that. They're just kind of, like...
Disgusting or...
Just things that, like, freak... there's some stupid things that did freak me out, as we've already established. But there's an episode of Doug where Doug's neighbor turns into a werewolf, and that kind of got me a little bit when I was little. It didn't, like, not, like, hardcore. I was like, oh, that's kind of freaky. It was stupid, but... like, that actually wasn't that bad of a show. That was actually a pretty good show. But anyway, Invader Zim was fucking demented.
Yeah.
Invader Zim was demented.
I actually didn't get to watch... I only watched a few things on Nickelodeon. I didn't watch it a lot. So I would know
you
how...
need to watch the Mall episode, which is basically a parody of all the zombie movies.
Okay.
It's hilarious, but also really freaky.
Because, I mean, I've heard people say it's really fucked up and shit. But
It
I never
is.
really grasped.
It's silly, but still really fucked up. I loved Invader Zim, though.
It just knew what it wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, now you don't know fucked up until you read the creator's other work. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. That is demented. Like, it goes way further than Invader Zim ever did, but keep in mind Invader Zim was on Nickelodeon.
This sounds good for kids. Let's make it for kids.
Yeah, it goes to our theory that executives don't give a shit. Like, keep in mind, RoboCop got a cartoon.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm trying to think of some other things.
Like, I won't say recent, but maybe around like the teen years. I think around when you hit teens, I think that's when stuff really didn't get scary at all.
Yeah, that's...
Or when, like, that's when you more realize the phobias of life. That's when reality checks in.
Yeah, that's when, real scary shit sits in.
Yeah.
But like with me, I remember fondly, my memories of being scared by movies and stuff like that, or by cartoons or various things, these are like good memories to me. And like you mentioned, a lot of kids, they avoid anything remotely scary, which I've never understood. I mean, and that's just from my perspective. Like, I've talked to people who are like, oh, I don't let my kid ever watch anything scary. Why? Yeah, what, are you just gonna, and I'm talking to somebody who has like a 3-year-old. Like, what, you're just gonna shove Barney down their throat for years?
Look how they're gonna come out.
Do what?
So look how they're gonna come out.
I mean, it's just like, you gotta show them something besides fucking Barney and My Little Pony and shit like that. You gotta show them something a little more intense.
Or you can just, not let them watch TV and make them go outside.
Read a book. Make them read. Teach them how to read.
The fuck is that?
That's that antisocial shit.
That's the thing you do on your iPad. Because I wonder how many kids have actually opened a book nowadays. Physically opened a book.
They force them at schools.
Yeah, at school, yeah. But I mean, like, willingly. Yeah.
I mean, I granted, I didn't read a whole lot when I was a kid either. I mean,
probably like
I was a
three
TV
kids
kid,
out of like a class of like 400, probably.
Yeah.
More than 1%.
I don't know. There's, I don't know. Sometimes I feel old. Like, and it's funny because I'm only 24. But there's times where I feel old. It's like somebody was talking about hey, you want to join my party? And they were talking Xbox 360. They were talking Xbox Live Party. And I thought he meant a real party, an actual party. I was like, no, that's a long ways to travel. I'm not going all the way there just for your party. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I have my little retarded moments. Anyway.
Well, getting back on track.
Yeah.
I guess the next part would be, teenager fears. I mean, I know right off the bat, like, the media usually goes away when you hit teen. There's not a whole lot that scares you anymore.
There's an occasional thing that does get you, like...
has to be something more realistic, though.
Not necessarily. Ju-on still freaks me out. As a grown adult, I can't watch Ju-on.
Really?
It's... I don't know, if I do, I see that face in my nightmares. I swear to God, I watched Ju-on for the first time when I was like 18 when I first saw it. And I watched it and I just... those dreams where you're like, you don't know you're dreaming, you like, everything looks the same, you're still in your bed. Yeah, okay. I just turned and I saw that face and that... I can't do the noise, but hang on a second.
You don't have to.
Probably can't even pick that up, but yeah, the mic probably didn't even pick that up, but just that noise, it's just like, oh god. That's the first time I woke up like, in years. Yeah, it freaked me out. Even now, it still freaks me out a little bit. It's just creepy imagery. God, what gets me, and this is something that ties, kind of connects back to my childhood, or anybody's childhood, honestly. Like that fear of, monster under the bed.
Really?
There's no scene where it comes out from under the bed, but like this woman's in bed and she lifts her covers and that ghost is right there. Just that face and that movie gets me as an adult. Hell, even, and this is one of the weird cases where even the remake gets me. Keep in mind, the remake, shot for shot, is the exact same movie, just with American actors.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And the special effects are better, but not as scary. I guess because it looks better, it doesn't look as jarring and out of place, therefore not as scary. But it's the fact that really there is no rules in that movie. Like in a slasher movie, you know the formula, you know the typical
Yep.
stuff you're going to see.
Oh, he goes and walks out by himself. Oh, hey, he's gonna die. Oh, he's black. Oh, he's definitely gonna die.
Well, okay, I didn't mean like that. I mean like, oh, he's going to be behind the door. He's going to jump through the window, and just like, oh, he's going to punch through the door. You don't. The ghost in Ju-on can pop up anywhere. Really, it only has that advantage if you've never seen the movie before. I guess, did I ever mention that I'm talking about The Grudge?
No, you didn't mention it.
Okay. The movie Ju-on was remade into
yeah.
It was remade into The Grudge. I don't know. Did I really not mention that?
No.
I've known that forever.
Well,
no.
I know y'all knew that. I'm just saying the people listening might not know that. I wasn't sure if I said that or not.
Yeah, Ju-on was the original, Grudge.
It's like
Is it
The
just a
Ring
spin-off,
is a remake
or-
of Ring. Ringu.
Yeah.
Like The Ring is a remake of Ringu.
Is it a remake or just a spin-off?
No, it's a remake.
It's just a remake.
It's just an American actually, yeah, but it's just a remake. It's just the
Okay.
American version of it. Because I think there's like a year difference between them. Kind of like the movie Rick in Quarantine. All Quarantine is just a English version of Rick, which was a Spanish film. But Ju-on legit got me, and I always thought it was always scarier than Ringu or The Ring. But I like to compare to the American ones. Grudge I always thought was scarier than The Ring. Maybe because I saw all the scary stuff already before I even saw the movie, because they showed them everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like the movie was coming out, they showed you all the scary stuff in the trailer. Girl crawling out of the TV and all that. It was like you already saw all that, so what was the point in watching the movie?
I hate when
They
trailers
spoil
do
that
that.
much.
Yeah.
They just gave too much of it, and I just was like,
Like, you don't have to do a 30-second spoiler. I'm good.
My problem with The Ring was I was like, I already saw this. It's called The Grudge. And I know Japanese horror films tend to run the same kind of way. They tend to have the same kind of ghosts and stuff like that. And that's the only time ghost movies ever freak me out, because I'm usually not freaked out by ghost movies. Poltergeist never really. Nope, Poltergeist did terrify me. The fucking clown, the tree, the guy ripping his face off, the skeletons, which were real skeletons, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not props.
Yeah, they couldn't afford the props. For some reason, it was cheaper to get real skeletons. I don't know where they went.
I'm sorry, I'm just dumbfounded by that statement. Just
I mean, I ain't making it up. I'm telling the truth. So that movie did freak me out, but it's not even the ghost aspect. It was just the creepy shit being thrown at me. Like I finally watched what's that one movie with the little boy that's in a coma and an evil spirit gets in his body?
Oh, God. Insidious?
Insidious, yeah.
So bad.
Actually, I thought it was really
Awful.
good. I thought it was great. But not scary.
All it was is just a bunch of really bad jump scares.
Nah,
it was just like, oh.
really.
Here comes really loud music. Bah! Oh, man. I'm supposed to be scared at that? Man.
Okay. At least they didn't do any of the false scares or anything like that.
when did you
Rewatched
see it?
First came out. A friend made me go watch it with them. It's just like, I don't really care for horror movies because I know usually what they're going to be. And I'm not really scared of any horror movie.
Well, I can't. To be honest, I can't think of many horror movies
'Cause
that would
I
just
just
scare me.
I just lose contact with them. I just like, sometimes I fall asleep during them.
I fell asleep during Saw 2.
Fell asleep during that
Paranormal.
one weird one that.
Paranormal Activity. I know I fell asleep.
Paranormal Activity sucked.
I fell
That's
asleep.
just garbage.
And I only got scared because there was a loud thud, and I was half awake, and there was a loud thud. I was like, ugh.
The only
That's
thing
not
freak-
that's not
the only
scaring
thing,
you. That just is waking you
Yeah.
up.
the only thing that was remotely creepy in that entire movie, and the only time something happens, is at the fucking end. That's like, okay, cool. Where we go from here? Oh, credits. Paranormal Activity 2 I thought was much better, and actually is a legit good scary movie. 3 was a waste of time. Don't watch it. Don't bother with anything past 2.
Yeah, this is the reason why I can't like get into horror movies recently because I don't want to throw money into it, and
And being disappointed.
yeah.
Well, I guess the thing is, you kind of have to be in the right mindset for it. I was sick to death of found footage movies when I saw the first movie. I was like, they're not scary. Nothing. And maybe it's because I saw too many shitty ones, like Diary of the Dead and Cloverfield. And
Was Cloverfield a horror or was it just a monster?
It was just
It's
a
a
monster.
I didn't
monster.
understand what the
There's
hell it was
nothing
trying.
horror about it.
I never
just a
understood what it
monster
was trying to do.
I appreciate it because it's like, cool, monster movie. Haven't had that in a while. Unless you watched
Did you even get to see the monster?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
there
saw
he
the
is.
monster.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see the monster the first time because I guess I had a bladder infection or something. Because I was starting to get frustrated because like, oh, damn it, gotta go to the restroom. Nah, I saw it on FX and the first time I saw it, I thought it was dog shit. Second time I saw it, I was like, okay, it's monster flick. You know, like the 1998 Godzilla movie.
So it's a dog shit, but with sprinkles on it.
Not really.
It's just trying to be edgy.
Not even. No, it wasn't. It was just being a monster movie. That's all it was trying to do. It was trying to put you more in the human perspective, which, to be fair, that wasn't. I can't think of another movie that really tried that back then. Before in Cloverfield, I can't really think of many movies that tried that. So at least it had a concept for it. It had an original concept going for it, but I don't like found footage movies. Never have, because it makes no sense. It's like, oh wow, I'm going to record everything. I'm never going to put the camera down, or the camera's never going to.
Moving camera.
At least there, shaky cam makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a reason for
But
it.
it still gave me a headache.
Well, yeah. But the movie's okay. It's a monster flick. If you go into it just wanting just a monster flick, then there you go. Like with Godzilla 1998, shitty Godzilla movie, but okay monster flick.
We're going off
What?
again. We're supposed to go on horror.
Well, it doesn't matter. But anyway, not a whole lot of movies have gotten me as an adult. Just like 2 I can think of.
Well, I mean, Saw, I guess, kind of slightly got me because it was like, if you think of a concept of being trapped.
Being in that
Yeah,
situation.
it's the, if I'm in that situation. But that's only the first one. After that, it's
And
just
that's
like.
just a phobia then. You're not really
At the
scared.
first, well, I think it had it worked better as like a mystery and all that.
Yeah,
Trying to
that
figure out
was
what's
the
going
only-
on and all that. It was a good movie. It just
Yeah.
wasn't.
It just
It
doesn't
wasn't
need all the sequels.
scary.
It did not need the sequels at
No.
all. 2 was a piece of shit. 3 was passable.
If it was standalone, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah. But you can't really blame the first movie for that because I don't think they intended on making sequels. But didn't NC say they were making them every October?
Yes.
I didn't even notice that.
Although I haven't heard of any recent horror movies. Although I haven't watched commercials lately. But I haven't seen any on YouTube. I'm pretty sure there should be a butt ton coming out.
There's a huge. There's been a butt ton in the last couple of years. It seems like almost every month there's a horror movie out. But
Yep.
But I thought then this was the year where they're supposed to be spouting and throwing up commercials all about them.
at this time of the year they should be doing it. I've only seen a commercial for 2 of them. There's not. I don't think there's been that many good horror movies
Seen
in the
that
last
awful
10 years.
commercial for Ouija.
Oh my god! Really, Ouija?
Yep, about a Ouija
Oh
board.
my god! We're getting to
the
the point.
inventiveness, I like it. The
Oh my
original
God.
originality. so
It's
good.
gonna be a killer Ouija board. It's just gonna be like, you know,
I don't
start
think
moving.
the Ouija board's like a
Bunch of
killer
like
Ouija board, but
bunch of like
No.
college freshmen just like sitting in the
You know
dark.
what?
Going,
If it was
move
literally-
my hands. Oh my God! Don't kill me.
hold on, Robert. I would watch a movie if it's literally about a Ouija board that kills people. Like, the Ouija board itself is killing people. I would watch it.
Oh, you mean where it just attacks, like some cheesy thing where the little
Yeah.
pick things.
Kind of like
Goes to the throat.
there's a killer bed movie. There's
Yeah,
a
I've
killer
seen
bomb
that.
movie.
I've seen that. That was. I didn't watch the movie, but I've seen it, and it was just like, what the hell is this garbage?
It's hilarious. It's just
Killer
killer
mattress.
bong. Killer mattress. I mean, of course, we gotta go killer car.
Yeah.
I'm
Christine.
pretty sure that's been done quite a bit,
What,
hasn't
what
it?
about the wheel? Isn't there one? Is that a wheel?
I don't know about the wheel, but yeah, you had Christine, you had Maximum Overdrive. I think Stephen King has a thing for cars coming to life. But you know what Christine didn't have? AC/DC.
Yeah.
But let's kind of go into that. Some of the ridiculous horror movies that they've made over the years, out of the whole killer what's it genre. Like I said, Killer Bear, Killer Bed, Killer Gingerbread Man,
Leprechauns.
I think-
Leprechauns, Killer.
What was the crows? What was the crow? Something.
The birds.
Yeah,
Birds?
oh, it was a black and white.
Oh,
I
don't know.
remember seeing it when I was little. That did scare me for. That actually did scare me for a bit because I didn't go outside. I was like, killer birds.
I thought you were talking about the birds.
You can name just about
No.
any object or animal, and it has killer in it,
Let-
and
let's-
it's a movie. And it's just like,
let's
I don't.
let's
get
try to
this.
come up with our own.
Well,
Killer
wait.
Balloon.
Well, before we go on,
Killer
to
toothpick.
Yeah. Killer
well,
Toothbrush.
before we go jump into all this, I also forgot to mention Jaws. That's good.
Oh yeah, Jaws freaked me out too. when I
Fuck
was little.
swimming in the ocean. That permanently made it to where I never wanted to swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot
Although,
of people.
you know what's funny with Jaws? You know, you were supposed to see the shark a lot more than you did, but because of all the technical difficulties they were having with the shark.
All that CGI.
What?
I'm the robot.
There's a giant mechanical shark. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm thinking about that one awful one, Megalodon. I think.
Oh my god, that,
What?
that movie's glorious.
What?
And no CG. It was all stock footage
Oh god.
of great whites. Oh my god, the guy on the
Yeah.
jet ski. Oh my god. All right. So let's see. Killer Toothbrush. Killer Toothpick.
Killer shoelaces.
Killer Shoelaces.
No, it's gotta be an everyday object, so that way it actually is scary.
Shoelaces. You tied your shoes, son.
I don't wear shoes. I'm wearing sandals.
You're a hipster hippie.
Fucking hobo.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's gotta be an
Okay.
everyday thing. Come on.
The days of the hippie will return.
Yeah.
Killer shampoo.
Killer Shampoo. Okay.
I actually, oddly enough, can actually see a movie like that.
Have you ever seen The Stuff? Maybe they'll make it like that.
No, I haven't seen the stuff.
Oh my god. It's stupid, but it's hilarious. Actually, I think that might have actually been intentionally bad. Kind of like the Killer Tomatoes.
Killer belt. There we go. There's another one.
Killer Belt. Okay. And how would it be like possessed by a demonic?
I don't
Cow.
know.
Oh, you gotta do killer foods. That always someone trying to eat a burger and it just starts eating their face and shit.
Oh, again, Killer Tomatoes. We kind of had that. But what was that movie called? I think it was just called The Killer Tomatoes or something like that. Or I can't remember what they were called. Yeah, I think they were just called The Killer Tomatoes. Oh, speaking of movies that freaked me out when I was a kid, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, a food that would work would be killer potatoes in Ireland.
Killer
Oh, that's
potatoes.
no.
Except you know how to defeat them? Put a dog in a potato costume and send them underground and teach them how to dance. Oh wait, that wasn't potatoes.
That was eggplants, sir.
That was eggplants. Okay.
Eggplants. God, not potatoes. That was a fucked up joke. Nice famine ass joke, asshole.
Oh my god, sorry. I really thought it was potatoes.
No, it's eggplants.
Okay, whatever. Never seen a purple potato?
No.
They exist.
There's your killer
Sorry,
potato.
Ireland has the worst luck.
Let's see. Killer cheese, but it has to take place in Wisconsin.
Killer corn.
It would take place in Kansas.
Yeah.
Oh god, did you ever see Children of the Corn, by the way?
Oh my god, that
No.
was horrible.
Children of the Corn? Believe it or not, a lot of people look at it as like one of the greatest horror films of all time. It's like I think it won all kinds of awards and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on a Stephen King book. The movie's fucking terrible. It's one of those movies where, and I actually mentioned this on Twitter, and people were freaked out when I said that. It's like,
What?
like I said, Children of the Corn is a terrible movie that makes no sense. It's not it's not scary or anything like that. But people are like, "Oh my God, Stephen King! Everything he does is scary," and like, you don't talk shit about Stephen King. What's the talk about shit about Stephen King?
Talking
Steve-
shit about the movie. God.
Stephen
think you had to
King
put
talks
that-
shit about Stephen King, so I don't see the problem here.
Hey, people aren't perfect, so you can make fun of them for their non-perfections.
Stephen King makes fun of himself, so especially if you ever see the trailer to Maximum Overdrive. One movie though that I think freaked everybody out, and for good reason, and this movie still stands for me. The Shining freaked out a lot of people.
Yeah, I heard a
With-
lot
with Jack
about
Nicholson?
that. Yeah.
Directed by, I think it was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it's a great movie. It's
I don't
scary.
know.
It's
Our mom said it was just kooky.
Yeah.
She wasn't scared. She just said it was kooky. But then again, she was a druggie back then.
well, most people say the movie was terrifying, so there's going to be exceptions. My mom thought the movie was the scariest thing she ever saw. The
Is that the one with the twins and Come Play With Us? No, that's
No.
not
Yeah.
the
Wait,
Yeah.
Twins in the Hallway, yeah,
Yeah.
with the blood and all that. But that's like a 2-second thing. That's
Yeah,
like
I
a
know.
shot for 2 seconds.
But that's like the
The
most
most-
notable scene.
Yeah, that and the decaying woman in the shower, the weird pig man. I still don't know what was up with that scene. The old man and on his knees is a like a man in a bear pig costume. He's just like looking at Jack. It's like, what the
Maybe you're
fuck?
supposed to be on drugs to truly enjoy it. Sometimes I question that. Maybe you gotta be on
Hey,
drugs
Mr.
to
Stanley
truly enjoy
Kubrick.
it. Something's burning.
Yeah. Miguel, you burning something? The fuck is that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Let's
well,
continue.
continue. The building starts burning down.
Who gives a fuck? We're still talking.
Yeah, we was just nothing but ash around us. Anyway, The Shining was a really freaky movie, and a lot of it had to do with Jack Nicholson's performance. I've always compared it to somebody tuning up a guitar. You keep twisting the string more and more and more. Eventually, that string's going to snap.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've always looked at The Shining. Now, there is a version of The Shining directed by Stephen King, and it's nowhere as scary. One, he doesn't use an axe, he uses a croquet mallet.
Mallet.
Yeah, a croquet mallet. But, to be fair, that was from the book.
Okay.
A lot of the things that was made scarier in Stanley Kubrick's version is a lot of stuff that he changed from the original source material. And let's be honest, The Shining, the film, is much better than The Shining, the book. And before people start harping on me, yes, I read the book. I've read the book and I've seen the movie. I've seen the Stephen King version of the movie too. I think all around the original film is much better. It just makes more sense than the actual book. And the movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's make that clear. But this is the same man who did, I think, Stanley Kubrick also directed A Clockwork Orange, which is a really, really messed up movie.
I think you told me about that one.
Yeah, it's just a real demented movie. Now, I don't know where to go from there. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of movies that freaked me out as a teenager and as an adult. I kind of went through all of them that still freaked me out.
I mean, recently, what do we get? We get the same old remedy, the same old stuff.
How many possession movies have we had over the last 2 years?
Too many that I can't count.
Same thing with haunted houses and stuff like that. It's like, God, there's just like no originality anymore.
Nothing matches the Ouija.
Oh my God. Which makes it funny that probably the best horror film I've watched in recent years is The Returned. And there's not a whole lot of horror in it. It's just good because of the writing and the acting and the art direction and all that. I mean, The Return is a really good movie.
Like good acting, good atmosphere, but not much horror.
Not actual horror. Like it's a zombie movie, but you see a zombie like twice in the movie.
So it's just mainly like atmosphere. So it tries to get you in that mood more with the acting and stuff.
Yeah. It just takes place in a world where there's zombies.
Yeah.
But this is like after humanity starts to come back and all that. It does remind me a little bit of World War Z. If I'm remembering correctly. I tried to read the book recently and I couldn't get through it all.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have enough time on my hands. It was much better than that piece of shit movie on World War Z. Oh my God. If you want to watch a neutered zombie movie, there you go.
Shouldn't have been called zombie movie. Should have just been called Experiment or Infected. And I think it would have been just okay.
Oh, see, I would call it a zombie movie no matter what.
Okay.
Semantics, what's that? And not what's that, what that. Anyway, so the last, I'm trying to think, in the new millennium, there's only been, since 2000, there's only been like a handful of good horror movies. The Devil's Rejects, Ju-On. I'm trying to think. Give me that sign. It's really about Saw. The first Saw movie was good.
I think it was more of a mystery.
Yeah.
Well, I think again, that fear just comes from if I was stuck in this situation.
Yeah.
And I think that's not that bad. I think more movies really need that.
Yeah. Now, in every decade, there's been like those great classics that are been remembered as a classic. I'm not calling Ju-On and Devil's Reject classics. That we just have to wait and see how those movies are remembered in the next 10 years. But like you go from like, there's always been those classics and there's always been garbage. Unless you like think back to the 20s and there's not a whole lot of things you can point at and say that's garbage, because most of the movies from that era
were just they're first.
Yeah, and a lot of movies from that era have gone missing. So there might be way more good movies that we're missing, or way more shitty movies that we're missing. But back then, basically, a lot of them are mostly historical.
Yeah.
Historical. The 30s, which I've always thought was the golden period of horror films. That's when Frankenstein was established, Dracula, The Mummy. You had other movies like The Old Dark House, White Zombie. I'm trying to think of some others. I'm blanking right now on 30s horror movies, but
that's a good enough explanation.
Yeah, not a whole lot ones I can point at and say they're bad, because a lot of the horror movies from that era have a lot of charm to them. 40s, same thing, but the 40s were more entertainment value. Not a whole lot of scary movies. Like even the Universal monster movies, they're not really that scary. They're more action, more entertainment value. Like if you ever watch Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. It's entertaining. It's just not. I don't even think some of these movies were even scary at the time, but people did find Frankenstein to be horrifying, considering the movie was banned in a lot of countries. But in the 40s, you have the Wolfman. It was mostly sequels to other movies. So not a whole lot of notable ones from the 40s.
Then they just did cheesy spin-offs.
Yeah. Then there was a few good ones with Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi, like I want to say The Raven, but I'm not sure if that was 30s or 40s.
I don't know.
Because I get it confused with The Black Cat. But yeah, The Raven and The Black Cat, those are two great movies, both with Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. Great age chillers. They are great horror flicks. Then there's ones like I think the man who never dies or something like that. It has Boris Karloff in it, and he's a scientist like usual. He came up with this experiment that basically can bring people back from the dead, the recently dead. So after he was convicted of murder, because he killed his assistant, but with all intentions of bringing him back, because the assistant had full confidence that it would work. You never get to see if it worked. You never get the chance to see if it would have worked the first time. Later on, you do, but because the police stop him, and he has this great monologue, just where he's basically calling all the people stupid and saying that they just did a disservice to all of humanity for stopping his experiments and stuff like that. And it's great. It's everything.
Sounds really interesting.
It's everything that you would love from Boris Karloff. And he brings himself back from the dead after they execute him. And now he has the people who infected him locked in a house, and he has all these death traps. And I can totally see this being the inspiration for the Abominable Dr. Fives, which I still feel like is the inspiration for Saw.
Probably. You can see where it's a transgression of just being inspired by, people being locked in a closed room with traps. What does that sound like?
Yeah.
Saw.
I'm pretty sure that was from the 40s. Then you have, jumping back to the 30s, that's what happens when I talk about the 40s. In the 30s, they kind of go back and forth. Just thinking of, because I'm thinking of Boris Karloff. You should check out The Body Snatcher. It's not really your typical horror fare, but if you just want to see Boris Karloff do what he does best, just be a sly scumbag. That's a great movie, because his role in that movie, though, is he is literally a body snatcher. He's being paid by this doctor to bring him dead bodies, but he finds out, hey, it's just easier to kill people than to dig up dead bodies. And he knows that the doctor is doing some real illegal shit here, that, if somebody finds out about it, he's fucked. So Boris Karloff's character is just stringing this doctor along, getting what he wants out of him. And it's such a perfect role for Boris Karloff. He was just made for that kind of stuff. Just with that shit-eating grin and all that, he's just perfect for those kind of roles. He basically, when it comes to horror movies, he's pretty much my idol. I grew up on Boris Karloff movies. Now you get into the 50s. This is less. In the 30s and 40s, it was more mystical stuff. Vampires, werewolves. You get into the 50s, though. This is where things really get interesting. This was during the sci-fi boom. This was during the time of the Cold War and all that. So if people were more scared about World War III. They thought it was coming, and the Russians nuking America and stuff like that. So people are more paranoid about stuff like that, and that reflects the horror movies of the time. Movies like War of the Worlds, movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still. Those were classics, but most of the time you would get movies like The Robot Monster, which is just a guy in a gorilla suit with a fishbowl on his head. Or diver's helmet, I should say.
Production value.
And
They knew how to do it.
And he just trumps around Bronson's cave like 6 or 7 times throughout the movie. He has a bubble machine. And one of my favorite lines is from the kid in this movie. There's like 5 people still alive on the planet, on planet Earth. This is after, all the nukes went off and just destroyed the planet and all that. There's this one kid who sees this monster and he looks at him. He's like, "You look like a pooped out pinwheel." It's like, there's the line for the movie. But you got other things. You have like Godzilla that came out at this time.
Yeah.
All the monsters were coming out of like they were made by nuclear waste and stuff like that. Giant spiders, giant scorpions, giant grasshoppers.
A couple of years after the war had, just finished, all the stuff after that. Of course, nuclear waste.
Yeah, so you had giant ants, which them is actually not that bad of a movie. It's actually a pretty good movie, very suspenseful, at least in the beginning. It's very similar to Aliens, or Aliens is very similar to it.
Okay.
Then you have like all the space travel, like all the alien invasion movies. Either the aliens came to us or we went to them. Like It, Terror from Beyond Space, which I can see where the inspiration for Alien came from. Because if you watch that, you can totally see Alien. At least if I'm thinking of the right movie. He had other movies like Earth versus the Flying Saucers. We're getting more into sci-fi stuff, but that was the nature of horror films at the time. You still had your grade A chillers. Like from Hammer, you had Horror of Dracula, which was their in color monster remakes, or it just had a whole nother level of class to them. Curse of Frankenstein, I still feel is, if it's not better, I say it's right up there with the James Whale's Frankenstein. I think it's right up there with the 31 version. If not, in some ways, it's better. It's nowhere near it. It's nowhere near the book. It's nowhere near the source material. They went and did their own thing. It's very different from the book, from the James Whale's movie, or really any other adaptation of Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein, he's not like some guy who's like, he's repelled by his monster. Like in the book, he first sees the monster and he runs. He's instantly horrified of the monster. In the James Whale version, Frankenstein, he's confident in his monster. He doesn't see him as a monster. He's confident. He thinks it's going to work. When it becomes apparent, he's like, okay, it's not working, clearly not working. And this one, Frankenstein is convinced the entire way. The whole way, he's like, okay, well, I can just fix it this way, and there we go. And he's always thinking, he's always scheming, he's always coming up with something new. And he'll do anything for his experiments. Kill people? Yeah. He'll just kill somebody for like their brain. You saw the clip where he pushes him off, but he like lands on his head.
Yes.
But anyway, when the monster is a failure, it's like, no, I didn't mess up. My creation would have been just fine if his friend Paul. It was like he'll talk to Paul and he was like, no, my creation would have been just fine if you didn't interfere. Because his friend Paul messes up the brain trying to stop him. If he didn't do that, creature would have been just fine. But we don't really know that. Could have been a monster no matter what. And by the way, I was about to say this movie started a trend. Actually, no, Horror of Dracula did. Started a trend of Christopher Lee choking Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing was Van Helsing in Horror of Dracula, and Christopher Lee was obviously Dracula. Chokes him in that movie. Victor Frankenstein is played by Peter Cushing. The Creature is played by Christopher Lee. Chokes him in that one. The Mummy, same situation.
He choked everybody.
He choked Peter Cushing like all the time back then. And Peter Cushing was always like, he always thought that was hilarious that they were always tied like that. And of course, Christopher Lee, he has fond memories of being in those movies, except for the Dracula movies. Anybody, if you ever get the chance, anybody listening, if you ever get the chance to meet Christopher Lee, ask him about Dracula. I fucking dare you. Go ahead, do it. It'd be like talking to Leonard Nimoy and asking him to throw up the Spock sign, back in 1990. Yeah. Anyway, then you have the 60s. That was more the era of psychological horror. Psycho. Psycho. That's pretty much it. All I need to say about the 60s. A lot of movies were very psychological based. You still had your cheesy movies like from Roger Corman, Little Shop of Horrors, Attack of the Crab People. Or no, Attack of the Giant Crabs, that's right.
Oh, it'd be better if there were crab people.
I'm surprised there's not a movie called Attack of the Crab People. There should be. Somebody get on that now. I'll watch it.
Pretty sure a lot of people would probably watch
You
it.
gotta have Man Bear Pig,
Man Bear Pig, yeah. And
the feature film.
starring Al Gore.
Yep.
But let's make Al Gore actually make Al Gore be Man Bear Pig. It just has a recreation of the costume for the South Park episode.
Yeah.
Like, arr! Man Bear Pig, arr. I actually cannot, that's all I can remember from that episode. It says him, like, trying to scare the kids by dressing up as Man Bear Pig. Anyway. 60s and 70s I kind of bunched together because that's when horror films really started to hit the mainstream. The 70s especially. Think about what movies came out in the 70s. The Exorcist, Jaws, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Poltergeist, Halloween. These movies were starting to get mainstream praise. And even today, horror movies getting like mainstream praise is very rare. Hell, how many times do you think of somebody in a horror movie wins an Oscar? Never, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
I mean, American Werewolf in London won an Academy Award for special effects. But yeah, in the 70s, this is when horror movies really got mainstream exposure. People were really starting to appreciate them a bit more. The 80s was basically the celebration of the 50s. Because if you notice, all the people who were making horror movies in the 80s, they were fans of horror movies from the 50s. So they would often pay tribute to those. Watch any Halloween. Watch like Halloween. You see references to The Thing all over that movie. The people are either watching The Thing or you just hear like the music in the background from the TV or something like that. John Carpenter, he was a huge fan of The Thing from Another World from 1956, I believe. So much that he made his own version of it. Which a lot of people say is better. I don't think it is.
I like it.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I really like it.
It's a fantastic horror movie. Awesome special effects. But I don't know. Maybe it's just my own personal taste, but I just like the I like the characters from the original. I like kind of the slight comedic relief to the original, and also it really knew how to use suspense in anticipation.
Speaking about The Thing, have you seen the newest version of it? That remake?
No, it's not a remake. It's a prequel.
It's a prequel? Oh, God.
It's just like, it doesn't make any sense.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, if you look at the movie, it's like
Yeah.
this doesn't match up. This is supposed to be a prequel. I don't remember the Thing being this aggressive in John Carpenter's version.
Nope. All it did was just sneaked around.
And this, it was like killing people left and right, like it was fucking Jason Voorhees. It's just like, why didn't the Thing do this in the original movie then? Huh? Explain that, movie. It's just, and the Thing, I'm sorry, it's just because I really do not like CGI opposed to practical effects. Every time I saw the Thing, it was just this mound of CG. I don't know how to describe it. I was fully aware that it was not there the whole time. I was like, this is scary because I know it's not there. Because,
CGI just doesn't really go with anything almost.
It sticks. Maybe because
it really sticks out in almost anything. Like,
well, okay.
Even animation, it sticks out.
Oh yeah, it sticks out a whole lot.
Yeah.
But people love it.
I wouldn't say that.
I hear a lot of people complain about it, but
Yeah.
I guess the vast majority of people probably don't mind it.
They're just like, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
Well, with this movie, the CGI was so terrible that it just really stuck out and
It
looked
ruins
really
the mood
fake.
of it. Yeah.
A lot of people complain about movies that don't use CGI and say, "Oh, everything looks fake." No, it looks real because there's something really there. I don't know how hard I have to stress this with some people. It's just sometimes it's just better to have something in front of the camera. I don't care if it's laughable looking, like The Blob. I fucking love The Blob. It's not even from the special effect. It's not the special effect or anything like that, although it does have a cheesy charm to it. Just the idea that they're using obvious miniatures and stuff like that. It still builds. It still has suspense. It still uses. Most of the time, you don't see the Blob. You just know its presence. You feel its presence. But really, the main thing that sells it is the characters. They're just so lovable, just so likable. Plus, we're talking Stephen fucking McQueen. You can't top Steve McQueen. Did I call him Stephen McQueen? Steve McQueen. But anyway,
Okay.
one of the greatest actors of all time. Come on. Then you have the '80s version, which is actually not that bad. I mean, if it was made any later, it would have been CGI, but it was actually a solid remake. It was a completely different movie. It never would match the original, but it was a different movie. Kind of like The Thing from Another World and John Carpenter's The Thing are two different movies. It was kind of the same concept. But in the '80s, you had your solid remakes like the Blob from the '80s, The Fly, which kind of depresses me that most people never even seen the original, and everybody's like, oh, The Fly, Jeff Goldblum and all that. A lot of people don't even realize it's a remake. And the reason why it bothers me so much is people think, oh, the original, the guy running around in the woods with the fly mask and it's in black and white and all that. No, that's the fucking sequel. The original is in color for one. It's it's a mystery. It comes across like a mystery for the first half of the movie, and it's just it's not suspense. I'm not really saying it's suspense, but not captivating. You're interested. You want to know what happens. You want to see the characters make it out and all that. Like the scientist who uses the teleporters, mixes his genes with a fly. They have to catch the fly to return him back to normal, but the fly flies out the window, and so he's fucked. There's nothing you can do. And you don't see the fly face. You don't see his face until the very end of the movie. Kind of like in the remake where you don't see Jeff Goldblum in full fly form until the end of the movie. But yeah, just the anticipation for it, it starts to kill you, and you're just like so invested in the movie. I think I might have used the wrong word there, but yeah, my point is you get so invested in the movie, you really feel bad for the characters in the movie and all that. It's so well written. It is a classic. I won't go as far as to say it's a masterpiece, but it is a classic that I wish more people will watch. But no, they keep thinking it's Return of the Fly. They think it's a cheesy, campy B movie that nobody should watch, and that's a crock of bullshit. I like the 80s Fly. I actually really like the 80s Fly. It just infuriates me thinking about that, how people will not watch the original because they think it's corny. But, okay, I'm off my soapbox.
Okay.
But the 80s, this was the era of awesome special effects. The gore effects were on a whole nother level. I mean, hell, we kind of kicked off with awesome movies like An American Werewolf in London, The Howling. Well, that was more makeup effects, but still. 1985, that was a big year for like zombie movies. Day of the Dead came out, and Return of the Living Dead came out. Yes. Oh, and Reanimator also came out that year. You had so many great movies that came out in the 80s. Of course, the slasher genre was like in full swing by the 80s. Like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. You had other movies like Hellraiser, which I always think of the Ozzy Osbourne song, but Hellraiser, that was an awesome movie.
Yeah. Fish hooks.
Yeah. Even the bad ones were awesome, like Basket Case. That was an awesome movie. It's stupid, I'll admit. Full on admit it's stupid, but it was entertaining. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Of course, you had garbage ones like Child's Play, but I don't know. When I think of the 80s, that's usually what I think of. Those are the movies I usually think of first. There's a few like monster flicks that I like Monster Squad. I didn't see that one until I was like in high school, but I can still appreciate it for what it was. And love letter to horror movies, a love letter to the classics. Although it did give us probably the most memorable line of all time: "Wolfman's got nards." Wolfman's got nards. Okay, 90s. Anything?
No.
Anything come off the top of your head?
Like I said, I didn't really watch
Okay, well,
at all.
the 90s, there were some good ones, but for the most part, it was a shit decade for horror movies. You had a few notable ones, like the remake of Night of the Living Dead, directed by Tom Savini. That was a pretty good one. Aliens, but that's not really a horror movie. But movies like Scream, I've always hated Scream. I always thought that was a terrible movie. I can't believe how popular that movie got. That's really it. The 2000s is all remakes, sequels, and your occasional gem.
Yeah.
But that's I guess that's the state of horror movies right now. It's just you gotta dig through so much shit to find gems. Occasionally you get those little surprises like Cabin in the Woods.
That was just more of a satire movie.
It was.
Yeah.
But it was a tribute to all things horror movies.
Yeah.
That was a nice little surprise. Horror comedies seem to be more of the seem to be better than most horror movies.
Yeah.
Here lately, Shaun of the Dead is probably my favorite zombie movie of the decade. Land of the Dead wasn't too bad. Dawn of the Dead was a piece of shit. Why remake Dawn of the Dead?
Zombieland.
Zombieland was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. A lot of people tell me Warm Bodies was funny, but I never watched it.
Didn't watch it either.
I can't really think of anything else. That's about it. Right now, it seems like the thing people go after for horror is video games right now. If you look at any, like on Xbox Live, there's billions
Yeah,
of
but
horror
I think
games.
the gaming community really bastardized that.
How? I don't know. I'm
PewDiePie.
scary. Who?
Oh, these
I'm
people
serious.
people
Rip-offs?
who no,
Or
they literally play like they get told to play a scary game and then they fake scream at it, like they literally fake scream at the game, like
they make it look as scary as possible.
yeah.
Oh,
They put on
They
this
wanted
bullshit
to.
persona and like scream like little girls.
It's hard to actually find a horror game that's horror
Yeah.
when you got people who are lying.
Well, I didn't know about that. I just remember a lot of people playing a game like Outlast, which I thought was actually not a great game, not even all that scary, but, creepy atmosphere and just the, not being able to fight anything, having to run and hide and stuff like that. I played a little bit of that. That wasn't too bad. I really want to play Alien Isolation.
Yeah, that's looking actually good.
But like all the people doing those videos, I wasn't even really aware of that. The only people I've ever seen play Outlast was Angry Joe and the guys from Video Games Awesome.
They're the most watched people on YouTube, so don't worry about it. Don't watch them.
I like you who something Pie. I didn't even know who that one was.
Don't even.
Okay,
Don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't worry about it. But
They're just people who try to get attention by acting scared to a scary game.
It's not even really even a scary game anymore because the past games that have been coming out haven't been scary.
well, now for me, it doesn't have. I'm just generally interested in horror. It doesn't actually have to be scary. It just has to be interesting.
Continue.
Yeah, I'm going to cut it short.
You gotta cut it short?
Edit this bit out for me, Don.
Alright.
But yeah, I'm going to try to wrap it up. Well, there's been certain games that aren't particularly scary. They're just, I find them interesting. Right now, I'm playing State of Decay, which is actually a really good game. But really, that's all I can come up with. I think we kind of exhausted this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to do if I don't have much to
Went-
play off of.
Went
so.
from the 20s to 2000s, present.
Yeah, we went through like our childhood fright. Well, me and Don did. You didn't contribute.
Well, I didn't really have any.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll probably try to get more of that next episode because we're going to do Halloween memories. That would be the last Halloween. The last episode for October. So that's what that one's going to be. We might do a bargain bin next week, sometime this week. We're still working on the Halloween special. Well, until then, guess I'm Philip.
Don?
And Rob.
See you next week. That was one hell of an ending. Okay, bye.